Hey, welcome back to another episode of Doc Tales with Cocktails, or today it's Coffee This Morning with your two co-hosts, Doctors Tim and May Hindmarsh, where we veer off from our usual BS-free MD guest interviews. So Tim can share his Robin Williams fraction of his brain and riff on some funny news stories. And today we got some good ones for you on St. Patrick's Day, as well as a little bit of a serious story from the news. Anyway, I hope you're wearing your green, and let's get going.
Yeah. So, I like the Robin Williams motif. The only difference is the hemispheres of my brain are not bathed in cocaine.
Correct.
Other than that, exactly the same. So the first story is from New Zealand. I'm going to read it off my phone because it's so awesome. Police recover $19,000 Fabergé egg swallowed by a New Zealand man. A diamond-studded locket swallowed by a New Zealand man who tried to steal it has been, and I quote, recovered. The egg, valued at $19,300, was recovered in a natural manner. Medical intervention was not required, they told the BBC. This comes about a week after police arrested 32-year-old man at Partridge Jewelers in central Auckland. This thing was like 60 white diamonds and 15 blue sapphires, 18 karat gold, and a miniature octopus.
I want to know how big.
It was called the Octopussy egg.
How big was it?
It was.
Did they say?
About that big.
So
like a little bit bigger than a quarter. And you could open it up, and it had this octopus in it. But see, the thing I get is they recovered. This is where I think.
Well, I was thinking it was like the size of some ostrich egg, and
no, it wasn't.
That's impossible to swallow.
Like the real Fabergé eggs are like millions and millions of dollars,
and they're pretty big.
And they're quite. Some of them are like.
No,
really
that's why I'm
big,
like, how did he swallow this? So obviously it's tiny like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he swallowed it.
But it's studded with diamonds and sapphires, and I'm like, that's gotta hurt on the way out.
Correct. But here's the thing: they did no medical interventions, but they had to. He was like the way they wrote this was so they're trying to be very delicate. He had to be closely monitored, which meant a policeman had to do a stakeout next to this guy's toilet. Like, who did you piss off at your precinct to get that job? Who do you call? Do you call the caca constable, or do you just call the police for that job?
Ha, funny. Okay, but where my brain is going is all the crazy things we've seen people swallow, all the stories about foreign bodies, and, and then monitoring, because we would do drug testing and screening. The nurses would often have to go in there and watch people urinate, whatever, so they wouldn't swap out samples. But you're right, I guess if the police were wanting to make sure they recovered this thing, that it didn't get hidden, pocketed, flushed, whatever, they would have to send them in. But
they have to send in the police.
I wonder if they did staged.
I won't be home for a week, honey. I'm on a stakeout at this guy's bathroom. Seriously. One of my colleagues, mentors, great doctor, he swallowed a crown. It was $500 to replace the crown way back in 25 years ago. So he shat in plastic bags and crushed his turds.
I remember that. He had to literally mush everything up to find it.
I don't think I'd do that for $500.
No kidding.
I don't think I would be capable of doing it.
Yeah, but back then, $500 was like a lot. I mean.
Okay, even $1,000.
Yeah, but it's probably worth $5,000 now, don't you think?
No, not a crown.
A gold crown.
No, it was a regular crown. Crown's not a $1,000.
Yeah, I don't think I would do it.
Maybe what like the whole procedure with the crown is $1,500, but I don't know. I'm not a dentist.
I would not do that either.
I don't even play one on TV.
I would not do that either. Can you remember the craziest thing you've ever seen someone swallow, like come in, where you had to monitor them?
No, the most difficult I had was in an urgent care where a little kid swallowed a coin and it was clearly hung up in the top, and you didn't know if it was going to go further down their esophagus or flip and go into their trachea.
Right.
And so it's like super nerve-wracking, like you're stuck out in the country, and we had to find somebody that had a pediatric endoscope to be able to get in there and pull this thing out. It was a complete nightmare. Eventually, I think they went to drove 80 miles with this thing in this kid's throat to Portland and pulled it out.
Right. I remember one of the craziest things I saw was someone came in, actually accompanied by their, it wasn't a psych nurse, but it was somebody managing their care and demanded that they needed these follow-up x-rays. I'm like, what are you talking about? So this person had swallowed batteries, and it was an adult.
Yeah, batteries.
I know. And I'm thinking, okay, there's going to be a battery or two. And there was like 6 of these AAA batteries in her stomach. And I panicked because I'm like, that's not good. Mm-hmm. Apparently, the gastroenterologist was already aware. They had tried to do a scope, and they did, and they took a couple out, but they couldn't get the rest because the contents in the gut were too slimy, and they were going to just like let them pass and just do these serial x-rays. That was nuts. And then, of course, we've seen all kinds of foreign bodies placed, but I can't think of anything valuable like an egg.
The best foreign body story, though.
Oh, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
Is the guy that had the neurogenic bowel because he was paralyzed, so he had to stimulate his colon, like his rectum, to be able to poop. So he needed some instrument. So his instrument of choice was the 5-hour energy bottle. Don't ask me why it wasn't a end of a Coke bottle, but it was the
What's a 5-hour energy bottle?
It's they're like that big, right? So so he used the 5-hour energy bottle, and then what was great about this wasn't that this guy did this. Like, this wasn't an erotic thing for him. It was just like literally so he could go to the bathroom. But the surgeon that took it out, the note was brilliant. Because he said, I suggest if you're using such devices to aid in defecation, you tie a string on them.
I remember that. He needs a rectal tampon, so to speak. But, I mean, that's sad that you have to do that, but you think they would come up with a medical device now that would aid you in that instead of
I'm sure there
being
is.
creative and like, oh my goodness. Yeah, we could do a whole show on crazy foreign bodies. Yes.
We could. But we're going to move on to stupid studies.
Darn.
Stupid studies. So this, I think, is the stupidest study I've ever seen in my entire life.
I don't know.
And I will bring up the picture here so it reminds me.
This is a medical study.
This is a legit study. I can't remember. I think it's a university in California. It's sponsored. It's going. It's the whole deal.
I thought the fart one was bad enough that we talked about a couple episodes.
This is the extension. It's called the Human Flatus Atlas or Flatus Atlas. Everyone farts, but what's normal? We're using wearable sensors, and we'll bring a picture up of the wearable sensor, to create the first atlas of intestinal gas. Where do you rank? So there's an app.
Who cares?
I know, but there's an app. You can download the app. They're not taking any more volunteers right now. The reason is because they're overwhelmed with people signing up to get their own ass sensor. It's a button that you stick onto your underwear that goes to the app and counts how many times you fart a day. Like, this is the science. Follow the science. Like,
why?
How do you get sponsorship for this? Like, why does this matter? And it's not really randomized because people are just getting this app and getting this device. That is so dumb. Like, I can see if you had like a leaderboard and like you're in college and you're competing with your buddies and it's like who can win. You know, like in kite surfing, there's a surfer app where it counts like how fast you go, how high your jumps are, how far you go. Like, it has all this. And so guys compete internationally doing these, like jumping basically. But you don't have to be in a contest. You can be like, oh, this week I had the best jumps. Last week, blah blah blah, right? And it's just like, but now we have a farting sensor.
Okay, here's where my brain's going.
That's the new wearable tech.
There's going to be
a fart sensor, not just a continuous glucose monitor, a fart sensor.
So this sounds like something that needs to be on Jackass or something, because it's like the stupid Olympics, like the X Games for farting. Although what really grosses me out, and it kind of reminds me of the same thing, is it New Year's Day where they do the hot dog eating contest?
No, 4th
of July. Yeah, that makes sense. I hated it. It makes me almost gag and vomit when I watch these people shoveling these.
It's not called vomiting. It's called a rejection.
No,
in
me.
the eating world, it's
I'm
called a
okay, well,
rejection.
I'm rejecting my own bile watching these people shovel, I don't want to use the word wieners on the camera. Hot dogs, wieners, whatever. I'm Canadian, they're wieners. They're a wiener. Don't say anything.
May gets grossed out by the.
Stop.
Okay, I'm censoring myself.
So this, what are you gonna do? Like have a contest to see who can hit the mark, who's got the stinkiest? Like what
No,
is
it doesn't do stink. It does volume.
what is the point?
Well, I think they're going to survey diets and this. Like, I don't know that it matters. Like, why does it matter? It only matters if you can't fart.
Well, then there's gonna be burping ones next.
I don't know.
I'm speechless. I'm
I mean,
speechless.
it reminds me.
So
this
yeah, I want to know
reminds
who
me-
sponsors this shit.
Okay, like literally a wearable tech fart device. But this reminds me of what happened to me about a month ago with my truck. So, okay, we have a newer Canyon Denali. It's a great truck. I love it. It's great. It's got a sensor for everything, right? So, brake pad sensor, this sensor, that sensor. It damn near has a fart sensor to like test your microbiome when you're driving.
Well, now it can.
Right? Okay. And maybe that's coming soon. But the sensor it doesn't have. The sensor it doesn't have is your battery is 2 volts low, so it's going to pop every single code that there is, right? And when it pops these codes, you won't be able to steer or
Right.
have brakes
Right.
because that's not important to a vehicle. So I took the thing in. It took them like 2 seconds. They disconnected the battery. They put the battery sensor on. Yeah, they're like, you got 11.5 volts. You need to be at 13. I'm like, well, the truck that has like heated seats, cooled seats, a heads-up display, automatically turns the heated steering wheel on if it's like 1 degree below 50 outside. It does all of those things, and it can't tell me what the freaking voltage is. And the way it tells you is it pops codes and it gets rid of the brakes.
Hey, that's technology.
Like, really? So that is my free, we don't give medical advice, but that's my free automotive advice, which is if you're popping random codes in a new vehicle, it's the battery, get a new battery.
Thanks for the free automotive advice.
Free automotive advice.
Take your vehicle in and have them use it.
Well, it's under warranty, so they give you a new battery. Because batteries in Florida, especially in a vehicle like that sits outside a lot, they last 3 years. And the vehicle's 3 years, see you later battery.
Yeah.
Like it really, like batteries are consumed by the heat. It is unbelievable. So that and tires.
Yeah, big
So
time.
I stay big time on my tires and big time on my batteries.
What's
Speaking
next?
of Florida, House Bill 533. Florida is one of the only states in the country that does not legally license naturopathic physicians. So we got in a little bit of a debate with one of our friends about this yesterday. Should they or should they not? So the Florida Medical Association comes out and has this scathing, this is pseudoscience, we shouldn't encourage that. Basically the line, allopathic medicine essentially owns medicine. And if it isn't, an MD or DO degree, then you're stupid and should never be called
Yeah,
doctor.
I was just going to say, what is like the reasoning behind not allowing them licenses
Well,
like
I
in
think
other
that was
states?
the
It's
reason.
because they think
Because it's not the science. And then I just started thinking about it and I go, okay, but there's so much stupid nonsense that's not science in allopathic medicine, gender medicine, the fact the flu shot does nothing but everyone is supposed to get a flu shot, like, on and on and on. It just like the nonsense and non-science that goes on in allopathic medicine.
well, not
It's
even
just-
allopathic. I mean, chiropractors now have gone beyond just popping, backs and doing musculoskeletal neurologic therapies. It's interesting how they get into the supplement realm, and a lot of them do, which is fine because they have a lot of education in that as well. However, I'm thinking if a chiropractor can be licensed and promote that alternative type of healing with, physical work as well as supplements, why can't a naturopath? Because they do use allopathic modalities, they do use supplements, and they know more about herbal and natural remedies. Chinese doctors, what, can they be licensed in
Well, it comes
Florida?
down to two things. The thing that our friend yesterday said was, well, you shouldn't be called a doctor unless you're a doctor. But it gets to the bigger question of, what's a doctor? So you can't be a doctor of Chinese medicine, like if you're a physician, okay, let's use the word physician, right? Because that has a meaning. So you can be a chiropractic physician. You can be a naturopathic physician. You can be a traditional Chinese medicine physician. So if we're equating doctor with physician, I have no problem.
But people don't advertise themselves as that. When they go on Facebook and they're Dr. AH or whatever, they just say doctor. They don't say I'm a naturopathic physician. I am a chiropractic physician. They're all doctor whoever.
Exactly. If you go on to influencers and it's doctor this, doctor that, doctor, and they're never, I'm a board certified, like what does Drew Pinsky say? I'm board certified in internal and addiction medicine. That's the first thing he says. Okay, so you know he's an MD, you know, here's his board certifications, here's his experience.
If they're not telling you what their doctorate degree is in.
They're a chiropractor.
No.
Almost 100% of the time.
I disagree. Oh, no, I would not anymore.
Okay,
not
if
anymore.
They're online selling gazillions of dollars of supplements, they have gigantic muscles, they're totally ripped, and they own a Lamborghini, they're a chiropractor.
Okay, well,
and I'm saying this when one of my best friends is a chiropractor, and we give each other crap about this all the time. This is not a dig on chiropractors. It's maybe my jealousy because they're so damn good at making money. So, but it's true. It's like
nowadays, anybody that's got a doctorate level. So there's a lot of nurse practitioners. There's a lot of nutritionists.
Right.
People with a PhD in biochemistry. They're all now doctor, and so
but they're not physicians. At least the chiropractor is a chiropractic physician. He can say, this is what we believe in our branch of medicine. This is what and that's why
they're laying hands on patients and treating and doing things. But these other people, it's frightening because they're passing themselves off. And that term doctor now, I think is just not meaningless, but you really got to question and look up their credentials.
Well, that's the first thing I do.
And it doesn't mean that it's what they're saying isn't valid, because if they have a PhD in nutrition, and one of the doctors I really like is Dr. James Danick. He's on Instagram.
What, physiologist?
Yeah, and he is brilliant when it comes to exercise physiology, biochemistry. I mean, he knows all that more in detail. However, what are they trying to sell and push off?
We'll get to that in a second. But I think I have absolutely no problem with.
But back to the naturopaths.
I have no problem with licensing naturopaths. I have no problem with accrediting naturopathic schools, because then you at least know what's going on. So we saw a naturopath in Oregon, and he was good. And just like any physician, they're not all created equal. He was good. He could write prescriptions for pharmaceuticals. He could, sell you vitamins, and he knew a million times more about that stuff than we did. He understood this patient has got critical hypertension and chest pain, and they would call him in the middle of the night, and it's like, what supplement do I take? And he's like, go to the ER. You're trying to die. Because he had medical knowledge, and he read studies, and he had a different kind of philosophical bend. And I'm
you know what?
I welcome that because we don't own medicine in allopathic medicine. And I think that the underlying fundamental premise of allopathic medicine of you are broken and we must fix you, which then turned into you are broken, we must market diseases to you to fix you and make money, is so utterly broken. I welcome these guys, even if they're crazy, because we can talk to crazy and go, that's crazy.
Well, you know what? I see them because, yes, when we saw our naturopath, and I started to realize, because they don't just prescribe supplements and herbal remedies, they are well versed in big pharma as well and use it.
And metabolic disorders.
And do it better because they look at the whole person as well as all the options. And back when we started, even before that, I started noticing that they were the early functional medicine doctors.
Exactly.
And functional medicine now piggybacks and steals from, I think, the naturopathic, even a bit of the chiropractic, but mostly the naturopathic world, because they look at how everything flows together, but also not just big pharma, but nutraceuticals, diet, supplements, water, sunlight, all of that. And so I think Western medicine is, if you can license a functional medicine doctor, you should be licensing a naturopath.
Yes. Because my best naturopath story was, what year was that? That would have been like 2021 or 2001, 2002. something like that. We were on the NASCAR bus coming back from the NASCAR race at Vegas back to the Strip, and I'm chit-chatting with this guy, and he found out that we were, born in Canada, and he was from Ontario, and he's like, oh, you're, somehow figured out that we were doctors, and he's like, what do you think about naturopaths? And I said the single best thing you could say to somebody that's really into naturopathic medicine. I said, I think they're really, really good at treating patients that aren't sick.
Yeah,
I might as well have shoved a grenade up this guy's ass. He was so pissed. And I still believe that. If you're really sick, like if you have a broken bone, you fall off your motorcycle and have a broken femur, you want to go to the best orthopedic surgeon you can go to. Now, do you want to ask that orthopedic surgeon whether methylene blue is good for your, cognition or your seizure disorder? Of course not. Of course not.
Yeah, well, I disagree with you a little bit.
And there's a lot of people that aren't, like, they might be chronically ill or have chronic problems, but they're not acutely ill. And I think naturopathic medicine, for a lot of those people, it can be fantastic, based on the right provider and all this. But it's this whole, it all comes back to the church of scientism. It's like, we own the science because we do the randomized controlled trials. No, you don't own the science. The pharma owns the science because they're the ones paying for it. So,
but back to what you said,
corrupted.
I disagree. Maybe it's the terms or the semantics and words you're using about how naturopaths are great for people that aren't sick, whereas you need doctors for,
Right.
break your leg. I mean, there's people that are sick and chronically ill, and I'm going to, include myself in it with like the spikeopathy and my MCAS and this big mess been going on that we didn't really know. I think a naturopath or a functional medicine, that realm is better for me and helpful, and I am sick. Now, you're right, I don't have, define sick, right? Because it's not my appendix ruptured, it's not a broken bone, but I do have a debilitating, it has been debilitating enough that the best help is from somebody that sees the big picture and all that. So, you want to change your words?
No, I don't. No, not necessarily. But I think that there's something that I've learned to really respect in the integrative world or the functional medicine world or the whatever term. There's a million terms for this now. It does become a semantic jungle. Mm-hmm. I think in Western medicine, especially since we've been so co-opted by giant insurance companies and a broken business model and big pharma, is that we have lost curiosity. And, what's made Joe Rogan a multi-gazillionaire with that podcast is he's a genuinely curious guy that asks questions. And when you go and listen to some of these influencers, and you listen to James the Nick, and you listen to Jack Cruz, who, he's a neurosurgeon, these people are profoundly curious.
Right.
So they're asking, why is this medical protocol not working? Or what can we do better? Or how can we help people in this regard? And they seem to be really, some of them are just driven by being an influencer and making a pile of money. But there just seems to be this curiosity that we've lacked in Western medicine because we've turned everyone into an algorithm. It's like cholesterol number is X equals statin Y. You got 10 out of questions wrong out of 12 on your depression survey, so we'll just give you an SSRI. It's just like
the Betty Crocker cookbook of medicine.
And it's terrible. And the worst part of it is, it's one of the worst parts of Western medicine is it's all one size fits all. Everything is the same, right? Like, you have a diabetic, their blood sugar is X. You give them this pill, and then you give them this whatever, and then you try this for this many months, and then you go to the next thing, which is insulin, and when honestly, like if you're a type 2 diabetic, you have a metabolic problem. You can treat that successfully with specific diets and exercise virtually 100% of the time. The issue is people are much more willing to take a pill than they are to change their entire life, which, I understand. I get that. I'm not, I don't want to be the typical Western doctor, which is if your treatment doesn't work, blame the patient because clearly it's their fault.
Right.
But, it comes to the conclusion of this show, which is kind of the, what's the take-home message of this? And it really comes down to, like, who do you trust and how do you know who you can trust?
If they say doctor, you got to trust them, right?
Well, if it says doctor, figure out what they're a doctor of. And again, if they're in a Lambo and they're totally yoked, they're a chiropractor, like almost guaranteed.
Do your research.
And it was interesting because I remember when I was a med student, you talk to these specialists and they're like, when you're a young specialist, you're trying to build referrals, how do you do that? And it's the 3 A's, right? It's ability, affability, and availability. And really the thing that gets you patients is availability. And then if you're a nice guy, affable, then, people want to see you and word of mouth gets around. The last thing that patients care about, because it's unknowable to virtually everyone, is ability. If you're kind of average and you're a nice guy and you're really available, you'll be busy, right? Like that used to be how it is.
Right.
Well, now we have this like unbelievable number of like podcasts and influencers and books and all of this stuff. And how do you know who to trust? And I think the dynamic has changed. And I think a lot of it comes down to, for me, it's really two things. What are the results? And then like that includes track record and experience, not just credentials, because the credentialism has gotten crazy. And the second one, what are the incentives? Like, what are they selling? And boy, that got murky awful quick. Like, even with some of our friends, you're kind of like,
I know,
how much it
I
is,
know.
like,
It starts off sort of with pure motives and really good, and the next thing you know, I think power, money, and influence and selling their special supplement. Not that that's bad necessarily, but it can definitely sway your thinking, and then suddenly your motives change.
Well, I have no problem selling stuff I believe in.
Oh,
And making money off of selling
Right.
treatments that I believe. Like, I don't. Like, some of our colleagues have been quite torn with that. Like, they've become quite famous, and they're like, I don't want to just be selling my image or my whatever. And I'm like, well, yeah, but that's your brand.
but it's like, what's the basic philosophy of like why you're seeing patients and what you're doing? Is it there to like push your supplements and make money? And you're right, get the Lamborghini and have more followers on Instagram or X? Or is it, like when we had lunch with our friend yesterday, her heart is just all about patient care, keeping things simple, and taking the best care of her patients that she can without all the other fluff. And that's going to be the best doctor. But how do people figure that out?
Yeah, I think you got to research these people.
I have a tough time.
I think you got to research these people very carefully, because they are tremendous marketers.
And sometimes I think the people that are most out there with these big platforms, and not even being on Oprah but that with the reels and the sponsored by, those ones I would be cautious of. Not that you can't follow some of their advice and pay attention, but I don't know. The best docs I know just don't seem to push their platforms that much. Does that make sense? Like, they're not in it to do this social media platform. There's a few exceptions, and that happens organically, like the Peter McCulloughs, or I would say, because it's growing because of the information. But I see this stuff that pops up on my Facebook and Instagram with these. I'm like, who are these people? Why do they got this massive following? And like, what do they really believe? And it's always the one gimmick or the something.
And the other, which reminds me, the other thing that 100% immediately they're full of crap is the secret sauce.
Yes. Okay, there's someone I'm thinking of. It's like they have the special knowledge.
All of Western medicine in the 200 years of its existence, all of surgery, all of ancient Chinese medicine in its 5,000 years of existence, it hasn't been able to solve this problem, but I have, because I have the secret sauce.
Are you thinking of who I'm thinking of?
And I'm just like,
I don't want to say
you don't have the secret sauce.
I don't want to say his name out loud on the show
it's
for
like,
fear of like retaliation and retribution.
Just
but if you have,
you don't like again. If it's secret, like if somebody is saying common sense and saying, look, if you want to get in good shape, you have to exercise and you have to eat right. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a different way, because this is what's worked for me and my patients. Okay, that makes sense to me. If it's like, all the exercise in the world doesn't work because, I did everything and it never worked until I got secret sauce. And secret sauce is, that's bullshit.
yeah.
But it's very appealing because that's what we want, right? Like, what do we want? I want to be able to drink as much alcohol and soda pop and pizza, eat as much pizza as I want, and be in perfectly good shape, feel good, never be hungover, and never get a disease from it. But that's not how life is, and that's not how your body
works.
That's
called heaven for you.
No, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So they're selling that. It's like, well, you don't need hours in the gym. Yeah, actually you do. You don't need a strict diet. No, actually you do.
Well,
you just need secret sauce.
It's not.
I hate that.
I think it's even more subliminal than that. They would say that you need all those things, but they've discovered something, and now they got it to the market. But they're the only ones that sell it or know how it works. And I'm like, please give me a break. With all these genius minds around the world, if you're the only one who knows about it and the only one that's selling it, and you can't read about it on whatever publication page so that you can share it with then that's bullshit. Total bullshit.
Yeah, totally.
And
those are easy.
And I would love to say the name of said doctor that I'm thinking of, but I will not.
Yeah, it
So if you need to go to them because of their special new thing that no one else has, big red flag.
Big red flag. So, anyways, you have to be very careful. You have to, and it all comes back to principles. Like, what are the principles? The principles of health are really simple. They really are really, really simple. Just like the principles of money, right? If you want to retire rich, work when you're young. Continue to increase your wages as you can. Put 10% of your money away, and you'll retire rich.
Well, health doesn't work that way.
No, put that money into like the S&P index fund. You got 150 years of data, and there's no guarantees, but you'll probably be rich. Now you can eat the best, you can work out, you can be super healthy, and you can still get cancer. I get that. So there's no guarantees in health. But if you do nothing, you eat tons of sugar, and you lay around all day, you're guaranteed to be in bad health.
Correct.
So you can,
You do your part, but there's no guarantees. Like the S&P.
Yeah, so as soon as people start,
Anyway.
So if people are adhering to logical principles of health, that's fine. Just like, you're one pill away from whatever. That's also nonsense. Like, obviously.
Well, now it's injection, right? Well, you're one injection of peptides or GLPs, or if you're in big pharma, one of the MABs, the immune modulators. So just one injection away.
Yeah, the immune modulators.
Or vaccine if you're on that camp.
The immune modulators just completely blow my mind,
right.
Because there's that one that is the immune modulator that you give to children because they're allergic to peanuts, right? And I'm like, how come no one is questioning, well, why the hell do you actually need a medication for something we used to eat on airplanes in 1975 and no one had any reactions at all?
Yeah, why are we having all these reactions? Exactly.
What changed after 1975 that messed with the immune system? What? I don't know. Like gazillions of doses of antibiotics, gazillions of doses of immune modulating agents known as vaccines, never being able to play outside and drink out of the hose, a destroyed microbiome, glyphosate killing all of the microbes in the soil so that you don't have real soil. Like, there's a lot of stuff out there that's messed with the immune system.
Absolutely. Well, we're getting down the wrong bunny trail, so I'm going to cut you off. Save it for the next episode.
You've been cutting me off for 34 years.
And that's why you're so happy. On that note, please like and share this episode. Send us your questions and emails. We appreciate it. doc@bsfreemd.com. Always keep it real and keep it BS free.
It's no secret that medicine is a bit, uptight. That's why Tim and I created BS Free MD, to mix things up a little and have fun in the process. Besides, we are having these exact same discussions all the time, so we thought we might as well invite everyone to the party. If you really like us, you can get plenty more, and maybe see one of Tim's cool tattoos on our Instagram or Facebook pages at BS Free MD. See you next time.
While we try to keep BS Free MD as raw and real as possible, we can't be held responsible for any medical decisions or discussions had as a result of what you've heard on the show. We know, bummer. But the truth is, we really do care about your questions. So feel free to reach out to us by email at doc@bsfreemd.com.